Good morning. It's 10:32, and I'd like to call the March 14th, 2022 meeting of the Lackawanna County Regional Planning Commission to order. And I'd like to do a roll call. Okay. Cindy Campbell, Vice Chair.
Present.
Jerry Carey, Secretary. Are you on mute, Jerry? There you
Is
go.
that better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. John Poshis,
Present.
Chet Murley. Chet, are you on mute?
Oh, I'm not. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yes, very good. Okay. Rosemary Broderick,
Present.
Harry Lindsay,
Present.
Tony Grisanti.
I'm here.
Hi, Tony. Tom Owens Jr.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Tom.
What?
Hi. Okay. And we have Mary Liz Donato, Planning Department Manager. Brenda Sacco, Planning and Economic Development Director. And Robert Kenny, Senior Planner. Did I miss anyone? Okay.
Got everybody.
Very good. Okay, is there a public comment?
I have not received any requests from the public to attend the meeting.
All righty. All right, and the minutes. Okay, so the minutes have been distributed for the February 10th, 2022 meeting. They were distributed by email. Are there any corrections or additions or deletions to the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll
second that.
the motion.
Okay, Jerry got it.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, and we'll take all in favor, say aye.
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 So moved. Okay, and now the bills.
Okay, the bills were just our GIS consultant, that's our monthly fee. An ad for the Farmland Preservation Board and Scranton Times. Our department pays for the legal ads for the Farmland Board. Our February dues for planning report, zoning and planning report, and new business cards for Bob and myself.
I'll move to approve the bills.
Second. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 On the bills, I have one question. Who is EBA Engineering?
Brenda, do you know what it stands for offhand?
No, I don't know that acronym. I do know what they do for us. I can find out though. We can find out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. And moving on now to new business.
Communications first.
Oh, I'm sorry, communications. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
That's okay. Okay, so we had 5 letters going out. We had 3 to Valerie, who's actually works in our office. She does the environmental impact reviews for the CDBG projects. We just had to sign off that there's no significant environmental impacts on those projects. On the 4th correspondence from Bob to Blakely Borough, it was an LSA, a grant for a new police vehicle. I believe they applied for this last year. They probably didn't get it, so they're going in for this round this year as well. And the last one is correspondence from Bob to Candace Sturdivant of the Route 6 Alliance. They're applying for DCED and DCNR funding to do a facade program in Lackawanna County. If you're familiar with the Route 6 Alliance, they're like an economic development and tourism promotion agency that covers the entire state where Route 6 goes from Erie to Pike County. Every year they're doing a facade program in a different county. They've done Erie County and some of them out in the western part. They're coming to Lackawanna County hopefully next year. Brenda and I have a Zoom meeting with Candace next week to discuss the program because it's very similar to the program we have right now through our big program. So we're looking to see if we could use that as a local match or, additional funds for them. So all county municipalities or businesses in all county municipalities will be eligible to apply. However, the heritage communities get first preference, which is Carbondale. Also, if you're on the Route 6 corridor, you also get preference in Clark Summit. Route 6 is your main street as well. So be on the lookout for this for businesses in Clark Summit, hopefully for next year.
Great. Thank you.
And that's it for communications, other than our 67 and 68 reviews that we do sign off on for DEP permits.
Okay, we move on now to old business.
Okay, transportation. We have received a final payment from DCED for the comprehensive plan, and we did get Luzerne County's reimbursement, so that's completely done. Hallelujah. We're working on a contract with Colts for the transit funding through the UPWP. Again, they haven't requested that since 2017. We're working on a contract. It'll be retroactive to July of last year, which would be the first quarter billing for 21-22 for PennDOT. We've submitted the master agreement to PennDOT. That is for the 22 through 28 UPWP programs. That's all taken care of. And we finally have the fourth quarter invoice approved by PennDOT after the fourth try. But that has been resolved, and hopefully we'll have our reimbursement within a month. Okay, on systems planning, I participated in a stakeholder interview with the consultant for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Airport for their air cargo study. They were just looking for some information on land use trends, just opinions on the airport and how important we think it is in local and regional and in national supply chains. There's actually only 2 companies that use the airport now for freight, air cargo freight. So they're hoping to expand on that. Lehigh Valley MPO completed the RFP for the Eastern Pennsylvania Freight Alliance, which we're a member. There's a bunch of other MPOs in the eastern part of the state that's participating in this. Again, Lehigh Valley's taking the lead. We did place that RFP on the county's website, as well as all the other counties involved in this project did the same thing as well. Brenda and Bob attended a meeting with PennDOT regarding the bridge replacements on 435 and Elmhurst. Brenda, do you want to give them an update on what's going on there, especially with the trail that's going to be impacted by this?
Sure. So PennDOT is going to be replacing the bridges on 435 within Elmhurst. There was a question upon ownership of some of the land that would be part of their staging and construction. We confirm that Lackawanna County does own that land. Our engineer, Frank Suma from GPI, will be working along with them to ensure that proper easements are in place. I think it was a date, I want to say 2024, that they would be doing it. We starting the construction. We're looking to see if there is a possibility to have a connection for our trail. Our trail ends right now at the Wynot, so it goes from Dunmore to the Wynot, which is in Elmhurst. We are going to look to continue the trail and do the next 4 miles. But one of the most important parts is that connection, because we don't want anyone that, crossing over 435. So if there's a possibility for us to incorporate a passageway, potentially under those bridges, we're going to look to do that. Not sure if we can make that happen, but we are in talks with PennDOT and we're working along with them for that. We may look to DCNR to do a corridor study to quickly, they have mini grants. Again, not sure if that's going to all be incorporated, given that the state of the bridge is that they need to be replaced. So we may not be able to get it in, but it's a corridor study is still needed.
Very good.
Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, moving on to SAPA. Scranton did hold a public hearing on the zoning ordinance. There were some members of the public there with some concerns, mostly regarding short-term rentals, bed and breakfast, and the CMC hospital expansion. Council decided to go back and look at the ordinance again. They are going to have a second public hearing, but we have no date for that as well. I also did talk with Vince Amico from Dunmore. He was going to move to put their adoption back on council's agenda as Scranton is now moving as well. So hopefully within the next few months, we'll have this all wrapped up. The Scranton to New York passenger rail, the commissioners did pass a resolution supporting the Amtrak study, and that's being funded through the Northeast Rail Authority. We sent that out to the governor, Secretary of Transportation, Senator Casey, Congressman Cartwright, Senator Flynn, and all 5 of the county state reps. So hopefully that'll be moving along. Hazard mitigation, FEMA has approved Old Forge's participation in the plan. So that is all completely done as well. Hallelujah. We will be hearing hopefully later on this year about the grant for the next 5-year update, which will have to be starting probably next year to get the COVID funding for that. So it's done, but it's not quite done. We're still moving with the next update. Chesapeake Bay watershed, we didn't have any activity this month. The last month we did report that DEP did give the conservation district some grant funds to implement some of the projects in that plan. So hopefully that'll be moving along. Carbondale comprehensive plan. This is hoping to turn into SAPA 2.0. We have a group spearheaded by the city who's getting grant money to update their comprehensive plan. Ted from DCED suggested that we reach out to the adjoining municipalities to see if we can do something like SAPA. Michelle Bannon, the city clerk, is going to take care of that, reaching out to Carbondale Township, Fell Township, German, Mayfield, Vanling, and the meeting we had on Tuesday, we also decided to include Greenfield Township as well in that. So hopefully Michelle's going to round up the crew and we're going to have a meeting with everybody to explain the benefits and see if they're on board with this. Everybody is in need of a new comp plan and a new zoning ordinance. Fell Township just did a new zoning ordinance, but they didn't do the comp plan. So we're hoping that we could, that they would be willing to participate as well, because if they don't, Vanling would be out and it would, it would kind of break up the group. So we're hoping that this, this comes to fruition. We did talk about some stricter language in the intergovernmental agreement with regard to what exactly the municipalities have to do in a time frame, because we don't want it to drag like SAPA is kind of dragging.
Mary Liz, you might want to remind Fell Township that they update their zoning ordinance and not their comprehensive plan, that it's challengeable in court.
Right, and the reason why they did that was that quarry up there that they're trying to say is a landfill or something. There's some kind of battle going on up there, and actually Don Karpovich is the one that wrote the ordinance for them.
Huh. All the more reason for a challenge if they're doing it for a specific purpose that's
Yes.
controversial.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the staff update, we have a new hire starting Monday. I'm excited. It's Jessica Edwards, who we actually tried to hire last year, but Luzerne County acted a little bit faster than us. She has since left because she had to take a medical leave that they wouldn't approve for her. So we kind of snatched her up. She's really good with planning. She worked for Worcester County, Maryland in the planning and zoning office for several years. So and she's back in the area. She lives up in Lenox. So she's going to be starting Monday, and Bob and Jessica are going to be doing our reviews and getting involved with all kinds of planning. So I'm excited.
Good.
Great.
Great.
Good deal.
Welcome, Jessica.
Yes,
Yep.
indeed.
Just just for the good of the order, just as Mary Liz was interviewed, I too was interviewed by that, it was Michael Baker for that air cargo study at the airport. It was interesting. I didn't know why I was on the list, but I was. And I was shocked that the small amount of freight that comes in there right now. And it's not large items they're looking to get. It's kind of smaller things, electronics, pharmaceuticals, different things like that would be shipped in and out of the airport. It's not like for refrigerators or cars or anything huge. So it was an interesting discussion on Mary Liz. It was. I mean, it was kind of neat. And I think I told them, because they asked me about land use, and I said, you'd be the one to talk to because
Yeah,
of the SAP and, a lot of things
Right.
around there. And so it was interesting, but I'm not an air freight expert by any means.
right. We did talk about SAPA. We talked about the warehouses going up along the Casey Highway. Even further up now going into Carbondale and Mayfield. We did review a plan for 2 large warehouses right at the base of the runway, partly in Moosic, partly in Pittston Township. I haven't heard anything further on that. Harry, do you have any idea what's going on there?
No further information there,
Nothing. Okay.
No. But there was like 1 million square feet of
Yes.
warehouse they were proposing there. Yeah. Good.
And to answer your question, EBA is EBA. EBA does not, as far as I can see, stand for anything other than EBA. And I put a link into their website there for anyone that wants to see.
Are they out of
The only difference is that I agree, Brenda. I called the Maryland office, and that's what they said. It doesn't stand for anything. It's just EBA. But I called another number, and they said it stands for Elkamali Butler Associates, but that was a California-based EBA engineering firm. So there are multiple EBA engineering firms.
Yes, and the one that I put the link is the one we paid.
Are they from Allentown or are they? Or
They have multiple offices. I just had that there.
Are they
Maryland.
in Laurel, Maryland?
Yeah, I saw Maryland. So they have,
That's where they're headquartered.
Okay. I believe the consultant that actually physically helps us out is, I think he lives in the Allentown area.
he's in Lancaster.
Lancaster now? Okay.
I don't know if he lives there, but he works out of the Lancaster.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, they've been doing this for years now, right? They have a contract with the county. I mean, I don't know if it's,
Yeah, they work with our GIS.
Yeah.
So they give us the support that we need. So Steve Solon, who works in our department and does all our GIS mapping, and then also our 911 department that has mapping, and then also our assessor's office. So anytime we need assistance, they're pretty much on board with us, and we pay, we have a contract yearly, and then we pay by the hours that we use. So it may fluctuate from month to month.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
We move to new business.
Okay, we have our development reviews. It was a busy month. It seems to be picking up with developments. Page 7, the first one, Bob's going to talk about the reviews, but I just want to remind everybody, this was the Gentile, if we remember from December, the argument on the land development, that they actually came in with the subdivision because the township wouldn't allow them to do the land development plan. And if Bob, you just want to explain what we found on that.
Sure. So on the subdivision plan, the barn, it's now labeled as a barn. I think it was a unnamed structure before. It's still connected to the well that's there, and I believe septic as well. So that kind of raised a red flag. So I went and checked it out on Google Street View, and it has a satellite dish on it. Kind of unusual for a barn. So figured we just let the township figure out, let them verify what exactly it is, because if it's a dwelling, then they have a potentially proposed dwelling on the lot as well. that would raise the same issue that I think was the problem in December, that they'd have two principal residences on the same lot, so.
Yep, they'd actually have 3 total, 1 on a separate lot and 2 this barn if it's actually a dwelling, and then another dwelling that they're proposing, so. They're telling the township that it's a hunting cabin. They're telling us it's a barn, and the township feels that it's actually a residence, but we're gonna leave it up to them to decide.
You got it.
Okay, page 9, Sorakanich in Old Forge.
So this one was a lot line revision. It's pretty straightforward. They're just taking a chunk off one lot and attaching it to another one they have right next door. The problem is that the zoning district boundary runs along the current lot line, and they're requesting that the entire new parcel be considered the residential. And yeah, we just let them know that that's not, just because they're changing the lot line, it doesn't change the zoning district boundary. They have to go through the borough for that.
Yeah, if they requested a zoning map amendment, they were requesting with subdivision approval that the zoning line be moved as well, which is not the subdivision process.
Correct.
Yep. Next one, we got 21 Riverfront Sports, and that was addressing comments from our previous review.
Right, so the previous comments were that we weren't sure what they were doing with the parking lot. They were leasing a parking lot that's unimproved from, I think it's a medical building next door. Yeah, we wanted to know what their plans were. As of right now, they say they have no intention of improving it. And the other issue was whether Providence Road, which is the access road to get to the facility, whether that would be sufficient once the addition is completed. And they say, yes, it is. So pending approval from the city engineers, we said, conditional approval.
Yeah, they're going to use that dirt area as the parking, but they're not making any improvements to it. And to read the ordinance, they have to have an improved parking lot. So not really sure what they're going to do there. It's quite a substantial increase. The building addition is, so I don't know how they're going to handle that parking there.
And at that location, the 2 lanes merge into one.
Yes.
Pretty much at that turn, yeah.
Yep.
Could be a problem.
The Providence Road is a state route, so that probably all those driveways run under an HOP. So whether this planning was in the original HOP for this addition and, was taken care of previously, if not, it's going to have to go back to the state to relook at the driveway access, and, whatever, something else has to be done. We're no longer the city engineer, so, we'll have to wait and see what we don't have any input on this, but, it's a good point. It's going to need probably, I think, another review by PennDOT because of the addition, if it wasn't in the original traffic study.
Right. Okay, moving along, page 27, Wentz Gymnasium and Winery in Ransom Township.
So the issue here is that it's the C1 zoning district. So the boutique winery they want to construct, that's allowed. The gymnasium is not. So they submitted a subdivision and a land development plan.
Right.
Simultaneously. So the subdivision plan mentions that, they need a variance, but it's not mentioned on the land development plan. So I called that out. And I believe Mary Liz said she heard through the grapevine that they've actually gotten that, but we haven't had anything submitted to us yet. So.
You heard through the grapevine, really?
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Talking on the phone with the township secretary.
I like that.
That's the grapevine.
Oh, that's a good one, Harry.
We get all of our information from the grapevine here instead of actually on paper.
That's pretty unique. You go work out and then you go drinking. That's nice. That's good.
I mean, wouldn't what am I going to say? The more legislative change would be add the change to the district rather than a variance, because that's the variance in this case would be very questionable. What's the hardship that you couldn't build something? There is none.
There is none, yeah. And I actually did have a conversation with the planning and zoning solicitor about that, but apparently the zoning board approved it anyhow.
I understand. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And
Yep,
the more prudent way would have been to ask for just the use to be added to the C1 or whatever it is, and would have been
Right.
taken care of.
right,
It
exactly.
seems like an appropriate use, right? I mean, an exercise facility in a C1, it's not industrial. There's nothing crazy about it.
Right, I mean, you can go work out and then go have a glass of wine after you're done.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Take a couple of jugs home too.
Well, they do that in a lot of yoga studios. It's kind of part of the relaxation technique.
I may skip
Oh,
the
yeah,
workout.
yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay, moving on, page 33. This is another one of the grapevine stories, but KGBT Medical Office in Springbrook.
So this lot has an existing dwelling and an existing office building, and they're proposing another office building. So the issue we had was the existing office building is 4,800 square feet, and the proposed one is 3,500. Between them, they're calculating they'll need 18 parking spaces, but using the actual square footage, they would need about 28. So from as near as I can tell, they're only counting 1,800 square feet of that existing office building. So they're, I think, 10 spots short.
Short.
So we withheld it until we get some clarification as to why they're only counting the 1,800 square feet.
And the grapevine story here is I drive past this every day on my way to work, and actually 2/3 of that office building is equipment storage and vehicle storage. So why they're labeling the entire structure as an office building, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Okay, next one is last but not least, page 41, NEPA Builders in Archibald.
So this is a 1,900 square foot office building proposed for a vacant lot. Everything looks pretty straightforward, except they have 3 variance requests for the setback, the front setback for parking. They're a few feet short, or a few feet into the setback. The parking stalls are a little bit short. They're supposed to be 18 feet, they're only 15. And they have a retaining wall running around roughly half the property. It's only 1 foot off the property line instead of the required 10. So I'm not sure if those variance requests have been approved or not.
Mary Liz,
Right,
Mary Liz,
yes,
it's Tony. They have been approved.
they have been. That we
Yeah.
suspected that because they wouldn't go through the expense of doing that plan without getting the variances first. But again, they didn't bother to provide us with that information, so.
Yeah, Mr. Mandola was at the planning commission meeting in Archibald last week, and
Right,
I wouldn't have known either, but they gave them all the information that they had gotten.
The only one that kind of seems odd is, Tony, maybe you agree too, cutting that back to 15 feet on a parking spot. That's
Well-
short. That's short. You get an SUV or a truck in there, it's going to hang way out,
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I don't even know, like, if they could put that retaining wall in, what kind of wall they're proposing with only 1 foot off the property line. The excavation's definitely going to be on the other property. Now, if it's a laid back, or if it's an MSC wall of some kind, a block wall, they probably could keep it all on the property. But if it's conventional, I don't think it would be. But look, the planners and the zoners have their own mind, so it is what it is.
yep. So that's it for development, Carol. So I guess we need a motion to approve the reviews.
Okay, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Cindy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Other business real quick. March 25th is the luncheon down at NEPA for Steve. We're having the PPA Northeast section meeting and then a luncheon. I need to give Pete, who's organizing the luncheon, a head count. So does anybody know if they're interested in going or not at this
I'd
time?
like to go.
Carol? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I already replied to Pete.
Yep,
I'll be going too, Liz.
you'll be going.
What is the date again, Mary Liz?
March 25th, it's a Friday, and the luncheon starts about like 11:30 noonish, Cindy. We're having a zoning workshop prior, and if anybody's interested in going to that, you're welcome as well, because our department, our planning commission is actually a PPA member, so anybody's welcome to go.
What time does it start?
That starts at 10, and then the luncheon will follow the workshop.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the zoning workshops. The guy who does, and he's very good.
Yeah, he's actually the guy that wrote that ordinance in Fell Township, so we're
Okay, yeah.
done. Yeah.
And where is the luncheon, Mary Liz?
It's at NEPA Alliance on Oak Street in Pittston.
Okay,
And I could send everybody the address and, if you want to GPS it or whatever.
that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very easy to get to,
Oh, yeah.
right on Oak Street.
Any other business?
And one more, the financial statements that I emailed out to everybody last month, they have to be into the commissioners by May 1st. I've gotten John's, Cindy's, and Harry's back so far, so if you could get me those. If you need another copy, I could email it to you. You could actually either mail it to the commissioners or scan it back to me and I'll send it up there. So
Mary
whatever.
Liz, could you send me one?
Yep,
Rose?
yep,
And also, if you could send one to me too, Mary Liz, thank you.
Yep.
Mary Liz, I just checked Peter's email. The zoning workshop is 10 to 11:30, followed by the luncheon for Steve.
okay.
You said you got mine, Mary Liz?
I got yours, Jen, yep.
Yeah.
One more thing about that, I think, with regard to the workshop, we usually charge a fee, but I think the section is picking it up
Right,
this year, so there's no fee for the workshop.
yeah, we didn't spend any money during the COVID crisis, so we have money to use, so we're gonna use it pay for the luncheon.
And the meet, and the zoning workshop.
Right, right.
And no public comment, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Well, thank you all. I appreciate everyone coming, and you guys have a great month ahead, and we'll see you at the workshop and Steve's luncheon. That's going to be great. So thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.